Welcome everybody to, I believe this is the 80th class in the Bhagavad Gita study series. So this is the third class in the 18th chapter. 18th chapter is titled Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. As usual, we'd like to acknowledge Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati for the traditional rendering of Vedanta as it was done for over 1,000 years, starting with Adi Shankaracharya. And we will say a small prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutations to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankaracharya in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati. So, with this, we will continue where we left off last time, and we were at the end of the Jnana Yoga portion. So, in this chapter, Bhagavan is giving a kind of a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita called Upasamhara. And therefore, this chapter is called Upasamhara Sankshepaha. It's a concluding summary. And he first gives a summary of Karma Yoga. He introduces Karma Yoga as Sattvika Sannyasa. And also he says it's the same as Tyaga. That is, renouncing the fruits of action is Sattvik Sannyasa. That is a real sannyasa, not wearing saffron robes. And he also says that is Tyaga. Renouncing the fruits of actions is also Tyaga. It is also Sattvika Sannyasa. And it is Karma Yoga. So he summarizes it that way. And then he goes to talk about the nature of the Atma. And we were at the last shloka in this portion, and that is the 17th shloka. So this is what we saw, and we didn't go into detail of this shloka. Yasya nahankruto bhavaha buddhiryasya na lipyate atva pisaiman lokan nahanti na nibhadyate. Yasya nahankrita bhavaha. Those whose notion is na aham kritaha means I am. It is not I am the doer. Aham kritaha means I am the doer. Kritaha means doing. Aham kritaha means I am the doer. Those whose notion isn't na aham kritaha means I am not the doer. So not I am the doer. So na aham kritaha. Bhavaha means notion. Yasya buddhir na lipyate, whose intellect is not tainted. Buddhi, the intellect. Na lipyate means taint. Lipyate, so it's not tainted. Hatvapi, even api means even. Hatva, even though they kill iman lokan, these people, na hanti na nibatyate, they do not kill, and they are not bound by karma. So let's look at this. So the jnani has this outlook. Jnani does not have a strong identification with the body. He or she gives sufficient importance to the body, but not over importance. This is the important thing you have to understand. Jnani knows that the body has to be maintained, sufficient importance, but Jnani disidentifies with the body and also the mind. Aham karta bhavaha nasti. Jnani knows he or she, the real he or she, that is the one that witnesses the mind and the thoughts, that is the real you. And the jnani knows that I am, and I am not the doer. The action is done by this mind bodies, things from the chitta. Okay? This is just like a dream. So the jnani, once you know that it's a dream, sometimes it happens, right? You know you are dreaming, but you're tormented and you would just want to wake up. Okay, I had enough of this. I'm just you can't bear it anymore, and you wake up. So and you, because it's too much for you, you don't want to see what's happening in the dream, you wake up. So like that, But the jnani wakes up from a different point of view. The jnani knows, oh, this is all some action that is happening. So dream, even though dream is not reality, it is a different order of reality, because your heart rate goes up, you're tormented, everything happens. Next day, your mood is spoiled, your sleep is destroyed, all those happen, right? So dream is a lower, considered lower order of reality. Just like a dream, they say this life that we live is also mithya. That is the jnani's outlook. Mithya means the real you, you are untainted, just like the person is untainted, but we are tormented in this life. We experience pain, all that. So if you ask, oh, how do I, if I somebody pokes me with a knife, how do I not experience pain? So the the pain, you realize it, but all the second, they call it the second art in Buddhism, all the subsequent thoughts on the churn, that could be avoided. So that's how the jnani sees. By identifying with the body, jnani knows he or she is not the doer. So we've seen this in the third and the fourth chapters, and the fifth chapters extensively. Tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoh guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. Thank you for keeping the videos open. Sometimes I feel I'm just talking to a wall. Thank you. Whereas the knower of truth of the division of the gunas and their functions, O mighty armed, engages in actions without attachment, fully knowing it is the gunas that engage with the sense objects and not the higher self, the sakshi or the witness. So this is an important point. Bhagavan is repeating that in this shloka. Yasya nahankrita bhavaha, yasya buddhina lipyate, pashyat akrit. So previously in the 16th shloka, he talks about one of improper intellect. And in the 17th shloka, he talks about one of proper intellect, whose intellect is not tainted. So Bhagavan, after telling about the impure-minded, one who of perverts, sapashyati durmatihi, perverted intelligence. And here he is talking about one whose intellect is not tainted. Okay, so Bhagavan, with this, Bhagavan concludes the jnana portion. And the one last thing is, if kartritva bhavana is there, not there, that is, if one knows that person is not the doer, naturally karma will not accumulate. That's why the yogi, one who has realized karma ashukla akrishnam yoginaha, even though they do actions, there is no karma attached to that, because they know that they are not the doer, so they don't reap the fruits. Very important point. Jnani therefore understands the law of karma. With this, Bhagavan summarizes the only two sadhanas required for any human being, karma yoga and jnana yoga. Both are compulsory. It's like going through elementary school to reach high school. Only from high school there is graduation. Okay. So a jnani does not complain to Bhagavan, because jnani, he or she knows that prarabdha karma, which is what we've done in the past, that prarabdha karma has to be exhausted. And for the exhaustion of the prarabdha karma, Bhagavan has to find some medium, that is this body. Okay, the body is karmajam. It is this body you have got because of your previous karma, karmajam. Whereas this ego is bhrantijanyam, this I, the notion of I that you have, oh, I am this rich person, all that, it is bhranti, it's from delusion, bhrantijanyam, born out of delusion. Okay, so now Bhagavan analyzes 6 topics. See, he chooses 6 topics for analysis because they're very important. They're very core. Jnanam, knowledge; karma, action; karta, doer; buddhihi, intellect; dhritihi, willpower; and sukham, happiness. And let's see why he picks these 6 topics. Jnanam jneyam parijñāta trivida karma chodhana karanam karma karteti trivida karma sangraha. Jnanam, knowledge. Jneyam, object of knowledge. What is to be known? Object. So you do all this, you come to study the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Bhagavad Gita is the knowledge, right? And object of knowledge is name. What is the object of knowledge? You want to find happiness. You want to find permanent happiness. And then there is the parijñata. Parijñata means one who knows all around. Pari means all around, revolved. Parijñata means one who knows everything very well. And the knower, they form the threefold cause or incitement to action. Trivida, threefold. Karma chodana. Chodana literally means impelling, incitement, sending. These three causes, knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower, form the threefold incitement to action. Why people act? Because they want to get the object of knowledge through the medium of knowledge, which is the Bhagavad Gita, object of knowledge, permanent happiness or moksha, through the medium of knowledge and involving the knower, parijñata. Instrument of action, the action and the doer form the threefold constituents of action. So Shlokas 18 to 14 is a summary again of 6 topics, each into 3 varieties, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Why did Bhagavan choose these 6 topics? Because Bhagavan thinks if you know these 6 topics with this threefold subdivision, you have understood the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan says, Jnana Vyavahara involves 3 factors, Karma Vyavahara involves 3 factors. Okay, these 3 factors are Karma Vyavahara. Now, let's go to, these 3 factors are Jnana Vyavahara. So, Triputi means the 3 factors, subject, object, and the instrument. The subject, that is the one, the knower, that is called parijñata. Object, what is to be known, is jnayam. Instrument, the Bhagavad Gita is the medium, right? You, let's see who that you is, who the knower is, the who actual knower. Let's see that. Parijñata. Object is what is to be known, happiness or moksha. Instrument is here Bhagavad Gita, knowledge. Okay? All other material knowledge, all other aparavidya creates desires, whereas paravidya is not a creator of desire. Very important point. Aparavidya means lower knowledge. Lower knowledge creates more desires. Aparavidya, that is a desire for moksha or the highest goal, it does not create sub desires, because this is the highest one thing that you want. Then in the second chapter also we see Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarpan Partha Manogatan Atman Yevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastadochate. Arjuna asks, what's the definition of a Sthita Prajna? One who of steady wisdom. When a person gives up desires as they appear in the mind of Partha, and when they are satisfied with oneself, with the self Atma alone, that person is known as a person of ascertained wisdom. So this is all this knowledge here refers to the Paravidya, the highest knowledge. Is it clear, everybody? Yeah. Then Karma Vyavahara. Similarly, there are threefold: subject, object, and instrument involved in karma. Subject is the karta. Who's the doer? So we have the parijñata, the knower. We'll see all this, parijñata and the doer. So the doer, already we've seen this. So we've seen Bhagavan says it is in the 3rd chapter, it is tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarpa vibhagayo. It is the gunas that engage in action, knowing that gunas engage with the sense objects and do action. So it is the gunas, the mind-body complex, which is the doer. And we will see the parijñata soon. Okay. Instrument is karanam, the action. So the karma involves, okay, let's say the action, your object is to, king decides, object is to eradicate poverty. Right? That is the karma. That's the eradication of poverty is the karma of the king. So to do that, you need some instrument. What is the instrument? Is to create more jobs for people and to build better schools for children to go to. So the instrument karanam, this action, this is the final object, is the goal. Karanam, it is this instrument to do. Karma is the final end task to accomplish. Understand? That is the object, end task. Karma, karanam, this instrument, the action of doing it. Um, Karma also means action, but here it's the end task. So it's also a verb, but it's the end goal. Karta and the doer. Karanam is all this building schools, creating jobs. That is karanam. Okay, is it clear now? So the 6 topics that Bhagavan discusses are part of the Jnana Vyavahara. We saw subject, object, and the instrument. Subject is knower, parijnata. Object, what is to be known. Knower is, we'll see who the knower is. Object, here we gave the example of moksha, highest happiness. That's what everybody wants. Instrument is Bhagavad Gita to study. Similarly, here the example we saw, subject karta, the king is the doer. We'll see his king's gunas, the doer. Object is to eradicate poverty. Instrument is building schools and creating jobs. And then, so jnanam, he picks karta, he picks karma. From these 6, he picks these 3 because Bhagavan thinks these are important. Then he adds 3 more on his own. He talks about buddhi, intellect, dhriti, willpower, staying course. You've stayed in this Bhagavad Gita study for this long. Dhriti, chose willpower. Then sukham, and he's going to say what kind of dhriti. Initially it looks difficult. I have to commit my time, but eventually you see a difference. That is the study of Bhagavad Gita. Dhritihi, willpower. He talks about sattvika dhritihi, rajasa dhritihi, and tamasa dhritihi. Similarly, sukham. Yat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddha prasadam yadat agre vishameva pariname mrtopam. What looks like poison at first, but in the end, it gives everlasting happiness. Bhagavad Gita studies like this. For some people, they don't understand anything, but they stay with the dhritihi. They stay the course, and the intellect gets sharpened, and it brings sattvika sukham, very refined sukham. Okay, so Bhagavan talks about 3 topics here. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedatah prochate guna sankyane yatha vachrunuthanyapi. So Bhagavan is telling, he's picking these 3 topics, right? He's saying why he's picking these 3 topics. Prochate guna sankyane. Prochate sankyane. So in the Sankhya philosophy, these 3 are talked about. Krishna takes up 3 factors for analysis because he thinks these are very important. In Vedanta, we study the gunas, and in the Sankhya philosophy, they are the specialists in the analysis. So Vedanta borrows everything from Sankhya. So if people ask, so there is Sankhya. Sankhya is considered the oldest. So we have 6 Shat Darshanas in the Indian culture. 6 philosophy. Darshana is vision or philosophy. It is exposition. 6 darshanas, right? So Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, and Nyaya, so Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, and so there's Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, and Purva, and Uttara Mimamsa. So the Vedanta is also called the Uttara Mimamsa. That is the last portion of the Mimamsa, which is same as Vedanta. All these hold Vedas as the truth. So these believe in Astika Darshan. Nastika means they don't believe in Vedas. There is Buddhism, Jainism, they're all Na Asti. Asti means not God, it means the what is there in the Vedas. So Sankhya is considered the oldest philosophy. So if somebody asks you, what is the relationship? Sankhya and yoga, they're all different from Vedanta. So the way you have to say is, no, 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 no. Vedanta supersedes Sankhya and yoga. So Sankhya is the theory part, yoga is the practical part, okay, of how to get liberation. And Vedanta comes and supersedes everything. It talks about the highest thing, the Brahman, and both it accepts notions of Sankhya and yoga philosophy. So prochate guna sankhyaane yatavachrunu tan yapi. Hear of them as they yatavachrunu tan yapi, just as they are. Know them from me. Sankhya philosophy, jnanam, karma, karta. Knowledge, karma, action, and the karta, doer, are said to be threefold. Okay? Tridhaiva guna bedataha, based on the distinction. Bedataha means distinction of gunas. Guna bedataha, tridhaiva, they are threefold. And approachate, they are talked about according to the Sankhya philosophy. Okay. In this context, the word karma means action. In the previous verse, karma means an object. But in this context, right, previous, if you see, I said here karma means the end goal of eradicating poverty. Here, it's just used in the sense of doing an action, like a karma. All right. So now, 6 topics. First topic, we'll start jnanam. That's the most important topic. So beautiful shlokas from now on, 20 to 40. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam viddhi satvikam. Bhavam means the reality or the self. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam, that by which one sees the non-separate, indestructible reality in separate beings, is called sattvic knowledge. Okay, let's look at the word by word meaning. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate. Okay, avibhaktam vibhakteshu. Avibhaktam means non-separate. Vibhakteshu, as non-separate. In separate beings, vibhakteshu, who sees the same consciousness, the same electricity flows through the grid, right? Electricity flows through the fan, flows through the bulb, it flows from the grid, it flows into all the things, and then goes back into the grid. Like that, consciousness pervades everything. It's there in you, it's there in me. That person who sees the same consciousness in separate beings, avibhaktam vibhakteshu, separate beings, sarvabhuteshu ena ekam bhavam, the one non-separate, avyayam bhavam, that is the indestructible thing that he sees. That person, bhavam refers to the reality or the self. So ekam avyayam avibhaktam bhavam ikshate, one sees the one non-separate, indestructible reality in separate beings, is known as sattvic knowledge. Tatjnanam, that knowledge, viddhi sattvikam, know that to be sattvic knowledge. Okay. Bhavam here is the reality, that is the self, the I. This is the third property of the Atma, Sarvagataha. We've seen that in the second chapter. Bhagavan, remember a few shlokas ago, we saw all the properties of the Atma. So Atma Karta, okay, 5 properties of the Atma. Aprameyaha, that which cannot be comprehended. Avinashi, indestructible. That also he says. Avyayam, that is, it is not at all destroyed. Avinashi, it is eternal, indestructible. And now Sarvagataha. Same consciousness in all beings, like electricity in the grid. And we've also seen Akarta Abhokta. So Bhagavan talks about the 5 properties throughout the course of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, all right. So go back to where we were. Okay. So Atma has no boundaries. It is indivisible like space. Avibhaktam, undivided. Light is there everywhere, but we can see light only when there is a hand placed in the path. Like that, Atma, it is available for transaction with the world only when there is a subtle body present. And the subtle body has to be housed in an entity called the Sthula Shariram, the physical body. Understood? Otherwise, just like light, otherwise it's not available for transaction with the world. It is there. Consciousness is everywhere, but it won't transact with the world. Clear? Growth of self-knowledge. Tamasic knowledge, I am the body. You ask a tamasic person, what is the mind? That person will say, mind is nothing but the brain with a neuronal connection. This is called Charvaka philosophy. It's a materialistic philosophy. I am the body. Body's birth is my birth. Body's death is my death. Therefore, I am a mortal jiva. What we consider rational, brilliant, scientific knowledge these days, Swamiji says, Shastra, um, we consider this rational, brilliant scientific knowledge, but Shastra says it is tamasa jnanam, it is delusion. So because the science says, okay, brain is everything, but no, when the brain dies, you die, they say, no, you continue to live past that. And in Rajasic knowledge, you say, I am the mind. You become a little more sophisticated. From Sthula Shariram, you start to identify with the Sukshma Shariram or the mind principle. And now my knowledge about myself has changed. Now I look myself as a jiva, different from the body. I've taken millions of past birth and normal course. I'll take millions of future births also in normal course. But we are all Gita students. Hopefully, we'll get moksha soon. That's what Bhagavan promises. Similarly, I am the Sukshma Shariram, this Rajasic knowledge. This person thinks even after the body falls dead, I believe the individual survives. Not only the uh, survives, but that jiva travels to another body. We saw that in the 15th chapter. Manashashtani indriyani prakristani karshati shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramathishvaraha gೃಹೀತ್ವೈತಾನಿ ಸಂಖ್ಯಾತಿ ವಾಯುರ್ಗಂಧಾನಿ ವಾಶಯಾತ್. When the Lord Jiva leaves the body, he or she pulls the 5 senses along with the mind as the 6th. All these are in Prakriti. Very clearly, Bhagavan says, mind is not conscious. It is part of Prakriti. It's not part of consciousness. And all these, and when the Purush, when this thing, Jiva, acquires another body, he or she goes into the new body, grasping these like wind carrying scents from their sources. But the sattvic knowledge is, I am that consciousness. I am that which gives power to everything. I am like the electricity principle. I am like the light principle. Okay. Continuing. Pritakttvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan pritakvidan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tatjnanam vitti rajasam. Okay. Bhavam, again here, it means reality or self, consciousness or Atma. So, Nana Bhavan, so which means as different entities. So, Yet Jnanam, that knowledge, Yet Jnanam, that knowledge by which Veti, one knows, that knowledge by which one knows or sees the seemingly varied realities. Okay. Nana bhavan, ena nana bhavan tu pritaka. So one sees the seemingly varied realities. Nana bhavan means these. Sorry, varied, and you have to add the word seemingly varied realities. Nana bhava. Bhava means the reality. Nana bhava means varied realities. Here it refers to jivas in all beings as um, Kritak Vidan. So as indeed different, to Pritak as indeed different, by which one knows Veti Sarveshu Bhuteshu, in all beings. That knowledge is called Rajasic knowledge. So that knowledge by which one sees the seemingly varied realities, which are the jivas. Everybody has a jiva. What is a jiva? It is the mind, body. So inside the sthula shariram, there's a jiva. The jiva is the mind body complex, which is illuminated by the reflected consciousness. Okay, so there is consciousness in that. It is the reflected light which is operating on all that. It is not the highest quality light, but it is reflected of the mind. But it's still consciousness. Okay, so, but what should you know? This light, it is reflecting in a different color or pattern from this mind, right? But the source is the same. But this person thinks all these individual entities, but this person is still very mature compared to the tamasic person. Tamasic person just thinks, I am the physical body. This person thinks, okay, I am the jiva, and he or she identifies with a reflecting light. Okay, and they think they're reflecting lights. They're all different because the minds of different people are different. But the sattvic person knows, I am actually the original light. Okay, without the original light, there's no reflecting light. Do you see the difference? That is the one reality. Without sun, there's no moonlight. This person thinks, I am the moonlight. It's still, sometimes it is bright, sometimes it is dull because of the phase of the moon. So Rajasic knowledge is the intermediary one. In this person does not take the body as himself or herself. There's a slight progress. He is not a Charvaka. Charvaka is the materialistic philosopher who looks upon the body as himself or herself. Such people will not believe in punyam. They will not believe in papam. So you cannot frighten them and say, if you do adharma, you will go to hell. You cannot say that, because this person will ask, who believes in hell? So it's very difficult to talk to a materialistic person because they don't believe in punyam or papam. They do not believe in swarga or naraka. Okay. Now, tamasic knowledge. Yattu kritsnavade kasmin karye saktamahaitukam atattvatabatalpam cha tattamasamudakritam. Yattu. Tu usually means but here it's used in the context of and that knowledge here, that the jnanam is not used, so you have to supply that word, and that knowledge by which ena kritsnavad ekasmin karye. So saktam, that's an important word. One is attached to ekasmin karye, the individual body, ekasmin. So here we have to look at the word carefully. He is not using ekasmin sharire. He is using the word ekasmin karye. Karye means karanam is the cause. Karyam is the effect. So these two words you have to remember in Vedanta. And Sankhya, it's used extensively. There is karanam, cause, and karyam, effect. So body is considered the effect of karma. Karmajam. The body is karmajam. You are given this body because of the karma in your previous birth. So the effect, karyam, effect is the body. Ekasmin karyam refers to the individual body, not the ekasmin karyam, the individual body. That knowledge by which one is attached to the individual body ekasmin karye saktam, okay, kritsnavad, as though it is the whole, kritsnavad, as though it's the everything, ahaitukam, without a reason. So kritsnavad, I have not written that thing here, as though that is the only thing that is there, without reason. Atatvartham, atatva artham, without a foundation. Tatvam means basis. Artham means so tattva means reality. Artham means a basis. So tattva artham means without a basis in reality or without a foundation, without reason. Ahaitukam, without reason, without a foundation. Alpam cha, and it's also very petty. That is called tamasic knowledge. Okay, so we've seen from sattvic knowledge, every separate entities as the same, like the electricity in the grid, same thing goes through different people. This person knows. Rajasic person is slightly better, as better than tamasic person. That person identifies with the jivas, but they think they're all different. They're all different. He or she identifies with the reflected light. And the tamasic person thinks the body is everything. So like I said in the beginning, this is the Charvaka person. So the third type of knowledge is held to be held by an utterly materialistic person. And therefore, he or she accepts the physical body only. He or she does not believe even in a mind other than the brain. Therefore, in his or her vision, when the body dies, that is the end of the individual. If you argue this is the external vesture, behind the body there's some jiva, call it sukshma shariram, astral body. When we talk about jivas traveling, this person asks, what's the proof? Isn't it all blind belief? So drishta anushravika vishayam. So this person doesn't believe in subtle things. He's very gross, he or she. They only see what is in the gross world. They don't have a refined mind to meditate and understand those things. And he or she says, if I have to accept, you should show that to the sense organs. So that's the conclusion. Because these things, the subtle body, cannot be cognized by the sense organs. So it has to be interpreted in the mind. When you meditate, you see your thoughts, and then you know you are different from the mind. But this person doesn't understand all this. This person doesn't have a mind which is sharp enough to understand, because it's very scattered. Chitta vrittis, too much chitta vrittis. Okay, so we've analyzed the first topic. We'll go into the second topic, karma, action. Niyatam sangarahitam aragatveshatakritam apala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Niyatam sangarahitam, an action that is obligatory, yet niyatam karma, that obligatory action, kritam, that is done, sangarahitam, without attachment. Sangha is attachment. Rahitam, sangarahitam, performed without attachment. Aragat dvesha, dveshataha, without. Raga means likes, dvesha means dislike. Aragat dveshataha kritam, done without likes and dislike. Sangarahitam kritam, done without attachment. Done, so you have to add the kritam to each of these. Asangarahitam kritam, without attachment, it's done without attachment. Aragat dveshata kritam, without likes and desires. Apala prepsuhu karma. Apala prepsuna means one who's not desirous of the fruit. By one who's not desirous of the fruit, satvikam uchyate is called satvik karma. So niyatam means prescribed by the scriptures. The scriptures prescribe certain actions exclusively for the sake of spiritual growth, exclusively for the sake of inner maturity. for the sake of developing value. Self-knowledge is possible only in a mind which enjoys these higher values. And the values were listed as Daivi Sampat in the 16th chapter. Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Remember? Daivi Sampat. Karma Yoga is supposed to bring worldly benefits also as a byproduct, but a karma yogi should not aim at a byproduct. Karma yogi should aim at a higher thing. That's why in the uh, Yoga Sutras, when you practice meditation, tata pratibha shravana vedana darsha aswada varta jayante, you get great superpowers. Pratibha, divine intuition. Shravana, great listening. Shravana, adarsha, great insight into things. All this vedana, refined, you can get people's emotions, you can understand, read others' minds. They samadau upasarga, they are obstacles to further progress to samadhi. Vrittane siddhayaha, but in this mortal world, they are considered siddhis. So this person is not desirous of the fruit. Even that's why one should not exhibit the siddhis from your yoga practice. You can flex your body or all that, you shouldn't show it off because they will cause hindrance. Okay, next, Rajasa karma. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena vapunah kriyate bahula yasam tatrajasamudahritam. Yattu karma, but that karma, you have to read yattu karma, but that karma kriyate is done, which is done kamepsuna, by one who's by one with a lot of craving, full of craving. Kamepsuna, suna means like full of, kama epsuna, full of craving. Sahankarena vapunaha, and again sa ahankara, with ego, or again bahulayasam, with a lot of troubled effort. Bahulayasa means involving much troubled effort. Tat rajasam udahritam. Sattvic is lightness. Sattvic prakashakam, and it's lagu, it's very light. You do things easily. Whereas this, to push your body, do all that, that is considered rajasic action. Okay, so that karma which is done with a lot of craving for the results, with ego, or again with a lot of troubled effort, is declared as rajasic action. Clear so far? So it's good to, these things one has to reflect, so to understand some of the deeper meanings. Anubandham shayam himsa anapekshya cha paurusham mohadharapyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. Yat karma, that karma, mohat arabhyate, which is undertaken from delusion. Mohat arabhyate, which is arabhyate means which is undertaken. Mohat, from delusion. Anapeksha, without regard to, we also encountered anapeksha, so without regard for the consequences. So without anapeksha, without regard to the consequences, and also consequence for, what are the consequences? Paurusham, so harm of one's own ability. So that karma which is undertaken from delusion without regard for the consequences, loss, harm, all that, mohat arabhyate, anubandham, shayam himsa, so loss, harm, and one's own capacity is called tamasa karma. Anubandham, shayam himsa. Shaya is loss, himsa is harm. Anapeksha, without regard to loss, harm, and one's own, paurusham is one's own capacity. So that karma which is undertaken from delusion, mohat arabhyate, anapekshya, without regard to himsa, shayam, loss, himsa, harm, and paurusham, one's own capacity, is called tamasic action. So the um, the tamasic action, Bhagavan points out that any thoughtless action, any action done without proper thinking, is called tamasic karma. So we've seen some of these anapeksha. We've seen this before in 12.16. Anapeksha shuchir dakshaha udasino gatapyataha. Let's see if I can open that. Okay. Anapeksha, free from anapeksha means one who's free from expectations or the consequences here. Anapeksha shuchir dakshaha udasino gatapyataha. We've saw the word. I'm just doing this so that we can cross-reference the word with which we've studied before. So in this, here the planning is good. So, but this person is always worried. Planning for the future is good. But planning is a deliberate action. So indirectly, what Krishna wants to convey is that tamasic variety should be given up at the earliest. If you're worrying too much, then it is not a good action, because you kind of your own capacity is now being depleted. It is damaging to the spiritual personality. Okay? That is tamasic karma. So the takeaway from these two is that Gita, Bhagavad Gita, is a moksha shastra. Is that right? Aim of Gita is to, Gita is a tool to get to moksha. And if moksha is the absolute goal, any pursuit which brings one down spiritually should be given up. Tamasic entities, actions, food, etc., should be given up at the earliest. Then slowly one has to transcend the Rajasic variety. Rajasic entities will not pull you down spiritually, but it will keep one in spiritual stagnation, Swamiji says. Because Arjuna, in the first and the second chapters, pointed out that he is not able to get peace of mind in spite of materialistic success. He said that even Swarga, the heaven with the highest height of materialist accomplishments, even that heaven will not remove my sorrow. In 2.8, he says, Nahi prapashyami mama panudyad yachoka mucho shanamindriyanam avapya bhuma vasapatnamritam rajyam suranam api chadipat. We've seen that in the second chapter. I do not see anything that will remove this grief of mine, which is drying up my senses. Even if I were to attain an unrivaled and prosperous kingdom on earth, and even lordship over the celestials, I am in such pain, Arjuna says. So, what one has to remember is the the greatest happiness, that is moksha, that's knowledge of this moksha. So rajasic entities will cause spiritual stagnation. So you'll just keep being born again, birth, death in the middle lokas. So that has to be transcended if you want the highest goal, which is moksha. Then comes the third topic, which is karta, the doer. Yes, Ravi.
Could you give some examples when you say actions, food, right, for tamasic and for rajasic? Could you give some examples of what is to be given?
We saw that in great detail in chapter 17, the food. Remember, you have to go and revise that. Extreme detail Bhagavan talked about the three.
Oh, I think, yeah, I remember. The
Yeah.
pungent or like,
Yes, yes.
has very, okay, I
Yeah.
got it.
So
Yeah, that needs to be.
Bhagavan talks a lot about Aharati Chatushtayam, four voluntary topics: food, worship, discipline, and charity.
Got it. Okay, got it.
So everywhere Bhagavan has all these he's talked about before. Karta, the third topic, doer. Now, if you strictly see, Bhagavan need not have talked about karta, because whoever does a sattvic karma is a sattvic karta too. But since Bhagavad Gita is for the lay person, it is not a scientific document, so there is an element of repetition. Okay. Mukta sango naham vadi dhrutyutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta sattvika uchyate. A doer of action, Mukta Sangaha, who's freed from attached. Sangaha is attachment. Mukta Sangaha, freed from attachment. Naham Vadihi, one who does not have a sense of I, egoism. Dhriti Utsaha, Samanvitaha, one who possesses Dhritihi, willpower, perseverance, and Utsaham, enthusiasm, who's unaffected. Siddhya Siddhyor Nirvikaraha. Vikara means change. Nirvikara means unaffected, unchanged by siddhi and asiddhi, by success and failure. That karta is sattvic. Okay. Mukta Sangaha, one who uses karma as a temporary means to transcend the karma. One who uses karma or action only as a temporary means to transcend the karma means karma is very useful up to the attainment of chitta shuddhi. After that, karmas, karma can become an obstacle. The reason is karma or activity makes you extroverted, and you will not have the type of mind to look within to study your real nature. Till a certain point, karma is useful, and then one has to give up. So this person is free from attachment, who does not have a sense of I, who possesses willpower and enthusiasm, who is unaffected by success and failure in action. Then the Rajasic doer, Ragi Karma Pala Prepsuhu Lupto Himsatmako Shuchihi Harsha Shokanvita Karta Rajasa Parikirtitaha. Ragi, a doer who is attached, who is very attached, Ragi. Karma Pala Prepsuhu, desirous of the fruits of action. Karma Palam, fruits of action, who desirous. One, a doer who is very attached and very, very attached to material things, who is desirous of the fruits of actions. Luptaha, very greedy. Himsatmakaha, cruel by nature. Himsa atmakaha means, himsa means causing harm. So, himsatmakam, after nature of causing harm or cruel. Ashuchihi. So this thing small means you don't pronounce it. Himsatmako shuchihi, you say, but this means ashuchihi. It for the meter, you don't say himsatmako ashuchihi. The meter is broken. So you just say himsatmako shuchihi. And it means ashuchihi means one who's impure. Shuchi is pure. Ashuchihi means impure. That's why this apostrophe means a. And harsha shoka anvitaha, moved by anvitaha, moved by harsha, elation, and shokam, sadness, depression. That karta is called rajasic. Okay. Then Bhagavan goes to the tamasic karta. Ayukta prakrita stabdaha shato naishkritiko lasaha Vishadhi dirga sutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. So this is actually a famous shloka. It became famous because people, when they get in the olden days, when they get angry, they don't use bad language. They'll just quote from the Gita. They say, Vishadi Dirga Sutri, that person always delaying, never comes on time. Vishadi Dirga Sutri. So, this shloka has become popular because of that reason. So all these people who are very orthodox, they won't use bad words. So they'll just quote from the Bhagavad Gita to scold people. Ayuktaha, one who is undisciplined, prakritaha, indecent, uncultured, stabdaha, very obstinate in a dumb way, naishkritikaha, naishkritikaha means deceitful, malicious, not kritam means good actions. Naishkritam means it's deceitful actions. Alasaha, similarly you say naishkritiko lasaha. Lasa, it's not lasaha, it is alasaha. Alasaha means laziness. Vishadi, despondent, in low spirits, not enthusiastic about things. He comes, that person comes late, no enthusiasm, like that. Vishadi, Dirga Sutri. Dirga means long, procrastinate. Dirga Sutri. That karta is called tamasic karta. It all means it's a non-integrated personality. Okay, with that, we will stop recording. So we've seen three topics: jnanam, karma, and karta.